Good question, Rob. Who's made the best signings? Sharks.
Well, I think, the Sharks definitely have, and we'll get on to that. But if we're going to go further afield, I reckon Racing 92. I know we're not talking about top 14, but with Faz, they're going to get the best of him, aren't they? I know has he been on the bench both weeks, I think?
No, he started.
He started the weekend, did he? So he was on the bench the first week, started this week. They're going to get the best version of him because no international. So I think they've got the best signing. And what I'm hearing is Lancaster's under a bit of pressure as well. So doesn't speak French. So not that Faz can bring that French speaking part to it, but he's going to be massive for them.
I did see a bit of the game at the weekend in between kids' parties and going to watch the football. And I saw a bit of Faz. He got a yellow card for not rolling away, but there was a little bit of the Faz coming out. Hit, yes! When boys were banging boys. So I was trying to listen for a French Wigan accent, but no, mate, it's good to see him in a different. It's weird seeing him in a different jersey, but it's good to see him taking the top 14 by storm in terms of playing for one of the glamour clubs. Although they played an absolute tin pot stadium at the weekend because they weren't playing in the La Défense Arena, but. Yeah, he's obviously a great signing for them. Should we go league by league? Who are the best signings?
Yeah, go on, let's do it.
So you've got top 14, you're going Faz. URC, Jim, we're going to URC, and I'll just let you unload about South Africans.
Gee, come on, baby.
My friend, where do I get this picture to put it on my wall of my friend Sia?
Well, talking of Sia, sometimes when players go back, you're like, ugh. But from a marketing point of view, and forget the player, it is a big signing for him. I don't know how much Marco Massotti paid to get him back off Jackie at Racing, but I'm sure it's a fair old whack. But the Sharks have made some good signings. Trevor and Kanye, my old tongue, he's going back.
Yeah.
Andre Esterhazen as well.
That's a big one. He's so good for
literally,
Quins, isn't he?
Literally massive, isn't he?
Big void for Quins as well. So the Sharks, I think, will be very good this year. I know they won the Challenge Cup. And the URC, they weren't great in, but I think this will be a big year for the Sharks, or the Hollywood Bet Sharks down in South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Once we get into the weeds of the URC, on paper, that Sharks team's unbelievable. But as we know, these South African boys have to play the whole year round. So it's how you manage all those players. Don't forget they've got a tough Autumn Nations Cup tour coming across to Europe as well. And it's how they balance how much rugby they play. And on paper, that Sharks team, 1 to 15, that should be up there, top of the URC, in my opinion. But as we know, it's a balancing act. And John Plumtree's got all the names and all the expectation for the Sharks. But as we know, it's a 16-team league and it's bloody tough, isn't it? So we shall see how they get on. But Sia Khaleesi going back to the Sharks, huge news. It will help him in his Springbok career as well. As we've both known, Jim, when you do play in France, they get their pound of flesh, don't they, in terms of what they expect you to play and do from a club perspective, which, does it make it tougher to play at those levels that the Springboks play at internationally? Of course it does. So I think for him and his longevity, he's probably taken a few less Rand/Euros, but it might extend his career because he'll be well looked after at the Sharks, going back to a place he knows, and he's the hero of your favourite nation, Jim, South Africa.
Yeah, well, for our Irish listeners, and that's my second favourite, it's not, I'd put Ireland up there. Well, I'd say second behind Scotland, but I love Ireland.
Hold on.
I'll be honest.
Do you prefer Ireland to South Africa?
Yes.
No, you fucking liar, Jim Hampton.
What as a country?
Absolute lies.
In what though? From what? From travel
fawned over the Springboks for the last however long.
You know I'm a Glory supporter, but that doesn't mean that I don't love going to Ireland.
Oh,
I
no,
love
we
going
love
to
Ireland.
That's what I mean. So that's what I mean. I love Ireland. You didn't give me any specifics. You said which one or which country. You didn't say which
country
team.
do you support more of in rugby, Ireland or South Africa?
South Africa, I'd say. But I do love Ireland. And if we are to service Irish friends, all eyes are on Leinster. And we can get on to Munster and Connacht. And also there's an emerging tournament that's happening mid-season as well, which is going to do them over a little bit. But Leinster... And we're good mates with Leo and Jacques Nienaber. Not that we're good mates with him, but we love Jacques Nienaber. We love what they're doing at Leinster. Everyone's going to be looking at them now, thinking, right, can Geordie Barrett and RG Snyman shift the dial from them being a team that are dominant all year round, but when they get to the business end of the season, can they get over the line? Because as we know as ex-players, as we've seen with other teams, the pressure mounts, right? The pressure mounts. And with that budget that they've got, and people keep saying, stop talking about the budget, but you have to because it seems almost like infinite with them, then signing RG Snyman and Geordie Barrett, they're probably the two biggest signings out with Sia Khaleesi going back to the Sharks. I know it'll be horrible on the Prem. We can talk about some of the signings there, but there's not a huge amount to talk about because a lot of the best players have gone over the top 14 where the money is. Leinster have got two of the highest profile players walking the planet at the minute.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So what you're saying is there's loads of pressure on them to win the URC and the Investec Champions Cup?
One of them.
Which one?
I'd say the Champions Cup is the one for them. Because domestically, a lot of shifting about, isn't there? And we could talk about the merger and we could talk about all the other things surrounding the club game. What team do Leinster put out during the season to rest their players? Ireland, Lions tour at the end of it. But Leinster, I'm sure it's all about the Investec Champions Cup. But obviously they want to win the URC. But with the squad they've got, you talk about 1 to 15, they probably out with Toulouse, who, as we know, are the current Investec Champions Cup winners, holders. There's no better team on paper than Leinster.
Yeah. Game ain't played on paper, though, is it, Jim?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Some big. I'll tell you, one of the biggest signings for me, and I've got a little bit of bias around it, is Michael Cheika coming to Leicester Tigers as a head coach. You know, you talk about big names in the game, and we've spoken about some big names on the field, and Czech's obviously be on the pitch from a coaching perspective. But Michael Cheika, I think, is a massive name to have running what I consider the biggest rugby club in England, which is a huge positive step. Sticking with the Leicester theme.
They've lost Jasper Wiese.
They have. They have lost Jasper Wiese, which is a huge loss. They have got a good, young, boisterous, hard South African in Corne Beats. Do you reckon he's sponsored by Beats as well? He's coming. Yeah, something like that. So he's come in to replace him. But Isaiah Paresi as well in the centres, 13. He'll make a massive difference for Leicester. So that's a big signing.
You've got this Finn Cardiff as well, this young lad.
Yeah. He's not signing though, is he? He's been promoted from the academy. So I get it, but looking around the Prem, I look across all the signings and there's, Lee Halfpenny's gone to Quins, but, is that a Quins signing? It's more of a, when Marcus is away, potentially you've got a world-class goal kicker there because I can't see Lee Halfpenny getting in the Quins starting team when you've got Tyrone Green on fire like he is and Caden Murley on the other wing and players like that. Big one for me though, and the two big ones, one that I love as a player, and I don't fancy him necessarily on a cold December, January day, but come the end of the season, he could be unbelievable for Sale, is Waisaya Naithalevu. He's an absolute worldie of a player. And if Sale can get him right towards the end of the season, I think they're going to be in the mix. That's a big signing for me in the Prem. And then another one, we mentioned Leinster earlier. Bath came up short, didn't they? They've made two really good signings for me. Ross Maloney in the row, Jim. And you'll know more about second row play than most people, certainly me.
Cracking player.
I think he's a hell of a signing for him. Yeah, if there is something that's been questioned around Bath, it has been, they've got Finn, they've got Ollie Lawrence, they've got exciting backs, they play a good brand, but have they got it up front? And yes, they have in terms of back row players, but Ross Maloney, I think, is a wicked signing for him.
Pod.
Rugby pod.